Hi there. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I run a little self-development company called Coretography that teaches you how to make decisions and figure out what you're meant to do with your life. You know, it's not coaching, therapy, or counseling. It's an analytical 6-step system that's patent pending that I developed using the Socratic method in law school. So I created the Coretography system because I couldn't find it. I had literally spent decades reading every self-development book I could find. I took courses, I took personality tests, I consulted with career counselors and even with a coach, but I just couldn't connect the dots. You know, what I wanted was a blueprint of who I was exactly, and then I wanted a roadmap so I'd know where I was going and how to get there. And then I wanted something so that I'd never forget it. So if I ever had a major life decision to make, I could refer back to it. And so that's what I created with Coretography. You know, most self-development kind of leans more towards the spiritual side. Coretography does not do that. You're not going to find chakras, crystals, there's no woo. I leave that for those who will do it a lot better than I ever could. We're all about practical, analytical, not making this difficult. It's supposed to be fun, taking the pressure off, because the whole idea is that if it's fun, then you're going in the right direction. You are, you're getting much closer to your purpose and actually what you should be doing with your life. So Coretography teaches you how to coach yourself. And it's a 6-step system. So over this week, this next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the system, and I'm going to give it to you one step at a time. So today, we're going to talk about step 1. What are values? So values are the principles, beliefs, and ideas that are most important to you. They're what you stand for. They drive all your personal and professional decisions. Values are actually, they're the foundation of who you are. And you know, everyone thinks they know what they value, but I'm here to tell you they really don't. And what most of my students discover, you know, at the beginning, I give them a little test. Do you know what you value? Do you believe you know what you value? And it always turns out that they think they know what they value. And by the time they're done with Coretography, they really didn't have a clue. And it's not that it's that hard. It's just that we don't take the time to do it. You know, we don't learn this in school. Most parents don't sit their kids down and say, okay, Johnny, now what is it that you value? Not what I value. What is it that you value? We just don't do it. And the truth of the matter is, when your choices support your values, you're just happier. Let me say it another way. So when what you value and what you do is connected and they support each other, you're on the right track. So what else does values clarity do? Well, it eliminates a lot of second guessing. You know, you stop asking everyone else for their opinion. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. Values clarity also provides a positive feedback cycle of new focus and motivation, because when you're actually reaching goals that you're setting for yourself that you really care about, guess what? You're more focused and you're more motivated. So let me give you an example. Values clarity just makes major life decisions so much easier. So let's say that you're an engineer and you've been offered a job in Tokyo. Family, however, is one of your core values. So this is the deal. You can take that job in Tokyo and you might be fine for a period of time, but at some point, you're just going to become really unhappy. Why? Because there's a disconnect between what you value and how you're actually living your life. You're saying that you value family, yet you're a 14-hour plane ride, you know, away from where your family actually is. So you can take the job, but just know that at some point you're not going to be happy. So maybe you take it for a year or you take it for 2 years. The other thing that I want to tell you is that for those of you that don't make decisions and you let other people in your life make all the decisions for you, you're making a decision. Your decision is to let others make decisions for you. And I truly don't know a quicker prescription for unhappiness than that. You know, I see that with a lot of my students that have gone through Coretography. You know, they tend to, well, not they tend to, but some of them have gone through really, really messy divorces. And once the divorce is over, they realize, and they're all by themselves, and they realize that they adopted their spouse's values. They became who their spouse wanted them to be, just to kind of keep the peace. And because they felt it was easier than making a lot of waves and, you know, being who they really are. So, where can your values come from? So your values are shaped by your upbringing. You know, it starts when you're a little kid. They come from your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your spouse, the media, church is a big one, your community. And so you grow up with these values, and more often than not, you adopt some of them. Or maybe you adopt all of them, you know, just this idea of this is what I'm supposed to believe. This is what I'm supposed to value. And the disconnect happens when the values that you adopt aren't really your true values because you've never taken the time to figure out what is it exactly that you value. So I'm going to give you an example of education. So I am half Japanese and half German. And education is really important in my family. It wasn't if you were going to go to college. It was just expected. It was an extension of high school. Now, it took me decades to suddenly realize that I don't really value education. I certainly don't value it the way it's being taught today. You know, a lot of memorizing and spitting up words and vomiting them back. I value learning. And we all know really well-educated people who they haven't cracked a book since they graduated from college. You know, they have no curiosity. They don't want to experience anything new. And so what I realized, and it took literally decades, is I don't value education at all. What I value is learning. The kinds of people I want to be around, they're lifelong learners. They are the people who are curious. They are the people who want to experience new things. The other place that I see this in is in careers, especially with my younger students. So, you know, there's this idea that there are acceptable careers in families. You know, you have to study STEM, or you have to be, you know, you have to study business. You have to be a business major, or, you know, my grandfather was a lawyer, my father was a lawyer, so now I have to be a lawyer because I have to, you know, head the law firm when they all retire. So the goal is to separate your actual values from these values that you've adopted. Because when you feel as if you have no direction, when you feel like you have no purpose in life, when you feel like you don't know what to do next, it's because you don't know what's important to you and you don't know what you value. So let me talk just a quick second on where values trip us up. So we already talked about one of them. We don't take the time to really lay this foundation for ourselves. So we don't know. We have no idea what it is that we value. Number two, we give all of our values equal weight because they all sound so good. So if I tell you, do you value love? You'd probably say, yeah, I value love. That sounds really good, right? Love's a good thing. What about gratitude? Well, it's really good to be a grateful person. So yeah, I'm going to pick that one too. I value gratitude. Well, what about religion? Well, yeah, I learned in my family that religion's really important, so I'm going to value that one too. Yes, of course, I value religion. So what ends up happening is we value everything. We don't really know what we value because when we value everything, we ultimately value nothing. The third place where values trip us up is when we don't have clear values borders, or boundaries, I guess is probably a better word. We don't have the confidence to tell people to just back off. We know what we're doing. We know where we're going. You know, we listen to everyone else. And so I'm going to give you kind of an analogy. So I am the worst horsewoman ever. Before kids, my husband and I used to ride quite a bit, and it never failed. I would get on a horse, and that horse would instantaneously buck me off. Why? I have a really high startle reflex. I have a lot of nervous energy. I was terrified to be on this big 1,400-pound animal. And the horse could read. It could read my body language. It could read my energy. It could totally tell that I had no confidence being on him or her. And it's the same thing with our parents for my younger students. So the more confident you are about your values, the more confident your parents are going to be about your decisions. And you know what? When they do have an opinion, you're going to care a lot less about what they say because you personally know what you need to do and you know why you need to do it. You're just crystal clear on your values. And when you're crystal clear on your values, you become the expert on you. And truly, your parents start looking at you and saying, you know what? She totally knows what's going on. And she has so much confidence about what she wants to study. She has so much confidence on what kind of job she wants to take. She has so much confidence about the kind of relationships that she's getting herself into. And they're going to stop giving their opinion freely and they're going to back off because they have confidence that you're confident. Okay. So step one in the Coretography system, it's to get crystal clear on what you value. So what I want you to do, if you're interested in more help on values, is go down to, I don't even know where it is. Go to the link. Go to the link in the slide, and you can download our free decision decoder, and there's a mini exercise on values in there that you can start with. Now, tomorrow, I will see you to talk about step 2 of the Coretography system, and we're going to talk all about discovering your superpowers and passions. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, wait, who's here?